Hey folks, this is Kurt Indovina. Welcome to GameSpot, and today we are talking about Elder Scrolls Online and its new chapter, Blackwood. Joining me is Rich and Matt. Rich is the creative director and Matt is the studio director for ZeniMax Online. Thank you folks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Blackwood is the latest chapter in the ESO universe. What is it? Give us the lowdown.
It's essentially our centerpiece for this entire year-long story that we're telling about Mehrunes Dagon. We're going back to pieces of Oblivion, Test 4 now at this point. That is, 15 years old at this point, Matt, right?
Yeah, 2006, I think.
So revisiting some cool places, telling some brand new stories, focused on Mehrunes Dagon and his attempt at taking over Tamriel. And then we have a whole bunch of cool new quality of life features and new systems that have come online to kind of give players more things to do in ESO.
This is the thing we do kind of every May, June, where we unload a whole bunch of new content and give it to the ESO players. And we generally try to pick, at least we have the last 3 or 4 years, a part of Tamriel that is either unknown or full of nostalgia from another Elder Scrolls game. And Blackwood's kind of both for us because part of it was in an Elder Scrolls game, but part of it is unknown. So, it's basically a 40-hour adventure through some familiar things from Elder Scrolls 4, like Rich said, but also some new areas that haven't been in an Elder Scrolls game since like 1994.
And I mean, you guys do, your ability to be as prolific as you are and have like these consistent updates and a substantial amount of things come out, as you mentioned, like June every single year. And like last year we had Greymore and had the ability to see Skyrim through a slightly different lens. And now it's amazing to have Blackwood and see like parts of Oblivion and parts from Tamriel that we haven't seen in ages through a different lens. What is like the favorite part of being able to dive back into those moments, and especially this time around, like going to Oblivion? What is it like to kind of consistently be able to like go back to the past to be able to influence new stuff for the games, new material for the games?
It's definitely a challenge. Elder Scrolls in and of itself is 25 years old now, 26 years old now. It's been around for a long time, so there is a huge amount of lore to kind of sift through and dig through. We've had a lot of fun going through and kind of pulling bits and pieces out of lore books that were in previous games and then actually showing those stories to players, letting them participate in that, but also putting our own spin on things. Greymore was a really good example of that, where it was Skyrim. It was just Skyrim 1,000 years in the past. And so what does that mean? How does that work? And, we've done the same thing this year with Blackwood and showing you pieces of Cyrodiil, Leowen, things like that. You get to see Gideon. That was the reference Matt made about 1994. That hasn't been seen since Arena. But then there's also brand new stories and brand new places that you can kind of go and explore.
Matt, going off of that, what is it like for you to see something that hasn't been seen since Arena, which, has aged in its own charming way, to kind of see it reinvented in this modern, our ability to create things in a different way?
Yeah, I think Arena was so far in the dawn of video gaming that, it was great then. But I think there's enough in Arena that it gives us kind of that context and the names of cities and kind of areas, but it's not flat and procedurally generated in ESO, so it gives us a chance to kind of put our artistic and content and story spin on it. And I'll say, as your question to Rich about how does it feel to kind of bring these older areas back to life, we're to the point now where ESO at 7+ years old also has its own nostalgia from earlier content in ESO. So we don't even have to reach back to Skyrim or Morrowind or Oblivion. We can reach back to 2014 and bring characters out of that and put them into newer areas so players can see them once again and talk to them, and they can get updated on you can get updated on their progress, what they've been doing for the last couple of years. And so we always do that a little bit. It's really good to have kind of our own nostalgia that's built into ESO, but also be able to go back and then show kind of the older areas from the other Elder Scrolls games.
25 years of Elder Scrolls, 10 of which has been since Skyrim, and now we have 7, and ESO kind of building this its own, like you said, nostalgia, and like in a way, totally separate community of players who engage in Elder Scrolls in a completely different way, but also it's still so wrapped up into the DNA of everything the franchise has established, which I've always found so impressive. Like one of the big kind of exciting things that I think ties us into the more traditional Elder Scrolls experience is companions. You folks added companions. Just talk about that. I think that's such an awesome decision. I want to hear kind of like how you got to that point and what it was like.
For us, one of the things that we have been really striving to do over the last few years is to find kind of new ways for players to engage with ESO and play with ESO. And so Companions was kind of another evolution in that. How can we engage players in a different way, but still give them ways to progress their characters? And so Companions, we hit on that because it provides some of that progression, but also has that kind of added bonus of giving you access to a permanent friend that is always online when you are, can help you out throughout the game, can potentially help you experience some bits of content that you maybe couldn't have done previously because you needed a buddy or two to do it. And so it really opens the gate and opens more doors for players to experience more of ESO. A lot of our players play it like a traditional Elder Scrolls game. They play it solo. And they do the solo things, and they don't want to play with other players, and that's fine. You can totally do that. But there's a lot more to ESO than just its quest and its killing. Making those friends, developing those social bonds and social ties. That's the magic of the online space. And so once you have that, you never turn back. And so we're hoping that this helps push people towards some of that and be able to see some of that content.
I mean, at heart, ESO is very much in the long line of Bethesda style RPGs, even though we have other players in it. And Skyrim, and especially Fallout 4, right, had a great companion system in it that brought in new stories. It brought in new quest lines and took you to areas of the world you might not necessarily go. It's part of the experience, and I think adding that to ESO brings kind of another feature from traditional Bethesda style RPGs to ESO, and I think it's a great thing. As Rich said, a lot of our players play what we call parallel solo, where you play solo for questing, and then you run across a world boss, and then you kind of in parallel soft grouping you take down the world boss. Maybe you group up with those other people, maybe you don't, and maybe you go back to just solo questing. So Companions kind of fits right in that niche of, I have an NPC following me around helping me, I can have a relationship with it, I get quests from them that I wouldn't get otherwise, and it's just kind of a different window into a cool part of the game that also opens you up to maybe grouping more or doing more parallel play with other players.
Will that develop? Will that evolve over time? Will these characters continue to adapt with updates since you guys are so prolific? And how does that tie into people playing together playing with other players who have companions? How does that all mix and match together?
The system in and of itself is huge. So there are a lot of different things that companions can react to already. One of the things that we would love to do is, find more ways to make them feel more interactive. Feel like they are living, breathing people. One of the things that players have been asking for since we announced Companions was romance. They want to be able to romance their companions. You can't do it at launch. So that is something that we've said we are working on. I think it's safe to say they will continue to evolve, and do different things, as we put more time into it. We're continuing to support antiquities. We continue to support housing and other features that we've added to the game over the course of time. So it's we're probably going to continue going down that path. As for the grouping situation, what we have done is your companions are unique to you. So if you and I are in a group with the same companions out, I will see the name of my companion. It'll be Miri or whatever if I have Miri. And what I will see with you is your name's companion. So it would be Kurt's companion. So I don't know that it's actually Miri. And I don't hear a lot of the things that she says. So it's kind of unique to you, and it's your special bond, if you will.
Let's talk about the year-long saga that's being started here. It started with Flames of Ambition, kind of laying the quest line for what's to come. What is it even like to be able to tackle something like this? Just tell me about it.
Well, I mean, I'll let Rich answer the nuts and bolts on that, but I will say it's all possible because ESO has a very unique leveling system where it doesn't really matter what level you are compared to the content that you're doing. So the magic of our year of content is that a new player or a player that hasn't played in 5 years or however long can come back in and just play the new content. They don't have to power level up or get ready for it or get gear for it. They can just log in and play it. So because we did that, it allowed us to do things like chapters and now year of, because we can just bring all the players in to, like you said, the Flames of Ambition was the dungeon DLC that started off this year. We don't have to worry about what level it is because players can just come in and play it. And it really makes it easy for us to tell these stories and introduce all this new content because we know that everyone's going to be able to do it. So that kind of sets the playing field and it set up our ability to do this.
Yeah, I mean, if we didn't have that, we probably wouldn't be near as prolific as we are, right? As you said, we're on our 30th official update now, Matt, right? In 7 years.
That, yeah.
So
30,
it's a ridiculous amount of content that we've been able to, put out and do. And, this year of kind of storyline kind of came organically, and it came out of taking stock of kind of what we've done in the past, taking feedback from players. One of the bits of feedback that Matt and I talked about, really early on before we started doing the chapters was we release so much content over the course of a year that it's really hard for players to understand how it all intermixes together. In the year of Somerset, it was Somerset and I think Murkmire were the two kind of pieces of major content that were released. So it was the elves and the Argonians. How did that go together? How did that really work? It wasn't really a cohesive thing. And so we came up with this year-long story, and that really helped the players understand the storylines and how they mix together, but it also helped just the teams themselves, because we're working on things a lot sooner than they're released. We just launched Blackwood. We're already working on next year's chapter and all the other things before that chapter. So the year long really helped ground the teams and let them understand, okay, this is part of this storyline. So therefore I understand the themes and the tones and the overall stories of what we're trying to tell. And that just helps kind of across the board.
I can talk to you guys all day and ask so many more questions. There's so many things I didn't get to talk about. With the few minutes that we have left, what is the favorite part? Your favorite part of being able to show up to work and kind of work on these things?
Definitely being able to see the community of people that play the game, because I've been in the industry forever, but I've only made multiplayer games. I've never made a single player game, and it's because it's just what I started with. But I think it's evolved more than that, in that it's about these games really. We can talk about Blackwood, we can talk about leveling systems and stories and Mehrunes Dagon, but these kind of games really live and die and revolve around the communities that play them. So all the content that you see that goes into ESO in many ways is our storytelling to the community of people that play it. So we love to be able to tell stories and allow the community, the Elder Scrolls Online community, to be able to log in and experience the stories as we write them. But they also get to make up their own content and their own stories, because we have a PvP system, an open world PvP system, and we have a housing system, and we have kind of these sandboxy elements, even though it's not a sandbox game. But we have enough of it that players can kind of bring their own spin and their own kind of take on what they think Tamriel is in Elder Scrolls Online. And that, for me, is the best part, because we learn so much from them every day based on not only the feedback that we get, but also just watching the way they play the games and coming up with crazy things that we had no idea that you could even do in the game. And it's awesome. It's so much fun to be able to kind of be a participant in that exchange like we are. And that's why I do what I do, because I just love the community's take on the game that we're making and they're playing, and then just watch it evolve from there.
Yeah, it's an online game. We love doing that stuff. We love the community. I love the fact that every day is different. No 2 days are the same. I could wake up one morning and the server could be on fire, and the next morning everything is great, and we're solving some other problem, or we're watching a cool video that some fans made of this ridiculous thing they built in their house, right? Like it's always different. There's always something new, and we get the freedom to continue to do that and continue to build this world that players are a part of, and it's just awesome to be a part of it.
I just want to thank you both for being here. Rich, Matt, thanks for coming by. Thanks for taking the time to chat with me, even though I didn't get to even scratch the surface. But that's because there's a lot to talk about. But nonetheless, here's to the year-long saga that we're going to be enduring with Dagon. All right, I'm Kurt one last time. And I guess if we want to leave off, where can people play Blackwood? When can they play Blackwood?
We're live on PC and Stadia right now. Console comes next week on June 8th, right? And then our special next-gen version of ESO comes out on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S the week after that.
Brilliant. All right. Thanks, folks. Thank you so much. See you later.